one of the things that occurred, and I found a piece at Salon written by Catherine Joyce. But she points out something that I noticed, perhaps you did too, almost as soon as that story about Sammy the Fish Alito's leaked draft opinion on Roe v. Wade, almost as soon as Politico published that. The fascist Christians in this country responded by focusing not on what Alito, the vile, rotten language, the insulting language that he issued, insulting to all 7 Supreme Court justices back in 1973 who ruled in favor of a woman's right to privacy. That's not what the fascist Christians focused on. Oh, shit, no, of course they didn't. They focused on the fact that it was leaked. And how was it leaked? How was it obtained? All of a sudden, these law-breaking bastards, these fascist Christians, a.k.a. Republicans, who are nothing but lawbreakers, nothing but defilers of the Constitution, nothing but people who would deny other people their rights, they had the balls, so to speak, to focus on the fact that this was leaked, not on what Alito had written. Jesus. So all day yesterday, well, actually starting early Monday and through yesterday, there were these immediate calls to find out who it was and punish that person. And if you remember, yesterday afternoon, the turtle, this gruesome bastard Mitch McConnell, who is at fault to a very large degree as to why there is a 6 neo-fascist conservative majority on the Supreme Court right now, thanks to the turtle, Mitch McConnell. But at a press conference yesterday afternoon, this bastard insistently told reporters that the prospect of recriminalizing abortion that's not the story for today, but rather who made the leak. Don't pay attention to what the leak is involved about, but who did it? The lawbreakers are not the 6 neo-fascist Supreme Court justices, 5 for sure. Oh, no, that's not the story. That's not the crime. The crime is who released it. There are no laws that say you can't release it. There's tradition. There is the secrecy of the Supreme Court. There's no goddamn laws written about whether or not someone can leak a document from the Supreme Court's inner deliberations. Is there? I think not. Now, as Salon points out, that claim was based on a very thin sourcing. There was a Twitter thread posted by a Republican political strategist who, less than an hour after Politico published the story Monday night, this rat bastard suggested he'd solved the mystery. This Twitter freak, this neo-fascist, this Christian fascist. He said that one of Sotomayor's staffers, Justice Sotomayor's staffers, had joined hundreds of classmates in opposing the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, and at an earlier point had been quoted in Politico regarding a case on which he'd assisted. So within hours, this particular staffer's name, with no direct link to the leaking at all, but this particular staffer's name had become a hashtag. And his picture was plastered across Twitter, along with calls for his disbarment, his jailing for life, and his prosecution for treason. And see, it's at that point where I start to lose my sense of equilibrium, as shaky a hold as I have on it, when I hear these hypocritical son of a bitches calling for someone to be charged with treason because they leaked a document. when the fascist Christians tried to fucking overthrow the government with violence and murder on January 6, 2021. But a leaked lock them up forever. And then yesterday, do you remember Operation Rescue? It was run by some crazy son of a bitch. I think he's dead now, but he got involved in all kinds of criminal activity. Operation Rescue, they were the ones who tried to interfere in a woman's right to privacy and in her seeking an abortion back in the 80s. Oh my God, these crawly fuckers were all over the place. One of their favorite tactics was to position themselves outside of abortion clinics and then get down on their hands and knees and mule and crawl across the street as a woman was showing up for her procedure. Don't kill me, Mommy. Mommy, please don't kill me. Oh, Mommy. I mean, sick fuckers. Just sick. And every goddamn one of them was a professed Christian. Mommy, don't kill me. No, please. Please, Mommy. That was Operation Rescue, among other things. They were also responsible for fomenting the violence that resulted in physicians who had, as part of their practice, performing these abortion procedures, killing them, shooting them in the fucking street, murdering them, and the people in the clinics, and bombing clinics. This is what these Christian son of a bitches were doing. These were not Muslims doing this, or Jews, or Buddhists. These were Christians. Do you remember? Wasn't that long ago. What, 30 years ago? 25? So Operation Rescue yesterday took it a step further and repeated this bullshit allegation in a press release about one of Sotomayor's clerics, along with the claim that the leak had been designed to, are you ready? The leak was done to, quote, foment social unrest that would apply pressure and intimidate the conservative justices to the point of changing their support for overturning Roe and Casey, end quote. Now, the new president of Operation Rescue, I don't know how new he is, but he's not dead, Troy Newman, he went on to charge that if the claims were true, that's a hell of an if, isn't it? Then Sotomayor should be impeached and forced to resign. And anyone else involved, this asshole, Troy Newman continued, should be, quote, arrested immediately for sedition and fomenting an insurrection against the judicial branch, end quote. Oh, shut the fuck up and sit down, Troy. What were you screaming like this when a bunch of white bastards attacked the U.S. Capitol in their little toy soldier outfits and murdered and responsible for killing 5 people with their insurrection? Were you, Troy? Did your squeaky little fucking voice show up then? I don't think so. But you don't like Sotomayor, do you? Well, I mean, after all, she's, Sotomayor, I mean, that's not exactly Irish, right, Troy? So the irony here is almost gagging, right? Because these neo-fascists now all of a sudden, led by this asshole, cares about insurrection? Woo! And as Salon points out, there's apparently some basic confusion on the part of these assholes about how journalism works. But Salon goes on and says this, but there's also the more troubling prospect that Operation Rescue, which has long treaded a fine line between vitriolic advocacy and anti-abortion terrorism, was deeply implicated in the 2009 murder of Dr. George Tiller, an abortion provider in Kansas, that Operation Rescue could again be stoking vigilante violence against its political enemies. No shit. This is what the fascist Christian right in all of its goddamn permutations and presentations over the past 40 years. This is what they've wanted. Just like Rush Limbaugh wanted race war, these fascist Christians, or Limbaugh is still dead, by the way, the fascist Christians want religious war. And I think history will show that race war, so-called, it's usually not a war, it's usually a slaughter, but race war and religious war contain within both enterprises the kind of violence that reduces the people involved in the violence to subhuman status. It pushes them down where the Russian military seems to be, animalistic, just a kind of violence that's almost incomprehensible. And that's what Operation Rescue seems to be pushing. Yeah, let's get Sotomayor. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.